Captain's Log, September 12th, 2025. Hello, I'm Captain Vile. Good and new, you've made it to Friday. How was my week? It was not bad. Interesting, somewhat interesting kind of turn of events of my sleep schedule, this week. So, I've been going to bed early and waking up real early. So I go to bed at like 8 or 9. And then I wake up at 3 or 4. No, I've not woken up at 5 yet. I might wake up at 5 tomorrow, depending on when I go to bed tonight. But anyway, I've just been... I've had like the sleep schedule of a baker for some reason. So it's a little tedious. But because of that, so I get like I'm really tired at the evening, and I can't get to 10 p.m. I would like to pass out. So, yes, I have like more of a day to utilize, but less of that day that I can utilize. Because just today, I was gonna go to the store, and I checked the time. I was like, oh my god, it's noon. What? How is it noon? I felt like I had been awake for so goddamn long. It's just been a long day. It feels like it's been 2 days today, but it's not. It's been one just long day where I go to the store, and I just can't make any noise for several hours because I don't want to wake my roommates up. So I can't record until a certain point, and even then, excuse me, I've just had dinner, so whatever. So I'm probably doing something else, and then like, oh yes, I should record. Today I have the boon of having this be my recording session. But I thought I had to record the altars. I don't. I do have to do that tomorrow, but whatever. But I didn't record it on Wednesday. So which made me feel like I was on, like... it made me feel like today was Wednesday. When it's actually Friday. So that was a... I don't know, weird feeling. Just a long... This is just odd and tiring. I'm a little tired now, but I'll soldier on, in quotes. Oh, yes. Yes, how difficult it is to talk to myself for 20 minutes. Have I spoken on that? How weird it is what I'm doing. Like, I'm just sitting in my room alone talking to myself. And I do that. I've talked about that before. About how I do talk to myself. And, like, rehearse scenes. And even just, like, what I do now. I just, like, pick a topic and discuss it with myself. But recording that and having people listen to that is an entirely other subject. That's a whole other thing than if I were to simply just mutter to myself while making tea and then going up to my room and like reading or whatever. But no, like I'll record those mutterings and people want to listen to them. It's very odd. A little amusing. I can only ever get 20 minutes though, and then I start to kind of peter out and run out of ideas to discuss. But let me tell you, I suppose I'm fine with pausing, and I could edit out pauses, but I don't really want to do that. I'm going to be upfront. I do not want to edit these. I record, I edit out any, like, setup, I edit out the, like, click noise when I hit the off button on record, and then I put the ship visuals and fog noises, and then the outro, and that's it. That is all I do for editing wise. Anyway, oh, I almost forgot about the movies. I'll put a pin in this and discuss what movies I watched this week. So, for Harry Riddler's Riddler, I watched Batman, Return of the Caped Crusaders. I gave that 3.5 stars. I said, quote, a fun watch, but made better if you've seen the show and are used to the tricks they pull, like explaining they applied, quote, anti-ice spray, unquote, off-screen as a way of excusing being immune to a trap. It did feel a bit long, but I found it funny, especially in the middle where 60s Batman starts acting like modern Batman. So this movie is like an hour and 20-ish minutes long. And even then, it felt a little dragged out. It felt like 2 episodes of the show fused together, but they did have they were relating because there was a Chekhov's gun in the first half that was fired in the second half that became a plot point. I don't want to spoil it in case you do want to watch it, but it's a fine watch. But it's definitely for fans of the show because there is in another Batman 60s movie. And just in the show as well, they have a lot of off screen, I brought this key, and it just so happens that the villain has a lock or whatever. They pull stuff like that, where it'll be like, did Batman and Robin really die? Keep tuned to find out. And they did not die. They just made it look like they died. It's like a clickbait or whatever. That's the wrong word, but it's it's misleading. But that's the show's identity. It has these little tune in, because some episodes were multi-parters, so it was like, tune in next week to find out how Batman and Robin survived this perilous blah 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 whatever. Fun watch, but definitely only fun person. That being Batman fans, and only then, even specific Batman fans. It's a goofy Batman, none of this gritty Batman. No, he does the Bat Tootsie in this. From the first episode of the show, where he dances. Yeah, Batman dances, everyone. Did you know that? He does that. Oh, whatever. Unimportant. Now, the other movie, my pick this week, was Catch Me If You Can. I gave this 4 stars. They could have easily, or quote, they could have easily said the title of the movie during the conversation, and at some parts it felt like they were debating it. It's well shot and acted, but honestly, it's really funny how often he's able to slip past Carl when he's dead to rights, unquote. Pretty good movie. Interestingly enough, I don't think I've marked it as I watched it before. I didn't finish watching it. So I watched this, I want to say 2000... This was like mid-2010s. But this was at a hotel while we were moving. I think while we were moving from Washington to Texas, we're just at a hotel. They had a TV. I turned it on, and it was the hotel scene where Frank is pretending to be Secret Service and meets Carl for the first time. And I watched up until he's escaping from his wedding after pretending to be a doctor and lawyer. Also, I thought it was really funny how the lawyer got the least amount of screen time. He didn't show... the movie didn't really focus on his, crimes. It was more the investigation and his, where he went. Especially because, as soon as he got away from them by Miami, by using that, the 8 girls as, stewardesses. Excuse me. It just hard cut 7 months later. They only focus on the investigation. But the lawyer had the least amount of screen time out of everything. I thought that was really funny. There was just a scene where he messed up in court. And that's it. I mean, he's got a scene with his dad where he's do you know a lawyer? And it's like a comment that's funny with context, but that's really all the attention to it, and he just leaves. I thought that was humorous. But fair enough. I mean, court dramas can only be interesting in certain contexts. Better Call Saul does it well, But I mean, would you watch like they're going into intricate detail about like housing law? No, they have pizzazz, they have color, they have editing montages to go through that. And movies can do that, but it's hard to do that. So it's easier to just go, just skip through it. He left. He got caught, whatever. But fun watch. Long movie. I didn't know it was 2.5 hours. When I picked this, I didn't know how long it was. I never saw the ending. I only remembered it was like, oh yeah, he has a lot of costumes in this movie. He pretends to be like 4 different professions. But it was fun. Anyway, back to the subject of me rambling myself and recording it. I had another talking point I want to talk about. Oh yes, what a wordsmith. This is what you all tune in for each week. Yes, the beautiful, beautiful sentence right there. Talking point I want to talk about. Alright, enough talking about how I butchered that sentence. So, as I said earlier, September 12th. Yesterday being September 11th. Now, hey, I'm going somewhere with this that is not insane. A year ago, I started looking into Garfield as preparation for a short film that I cut. Alright, see, I wasn't going the direction you thought I was going. Alright? It was pure happenstance. Alright, yeah. Anyway, so I used to make short films, and I'm thinking of getting back into making live-action short films. They're just really difficult, but I don't have too many ideas for them. But I probably got like school starting again. I'll probably have like projects where I make some. But anyway, I used to make short films where I was the only actor, and they were mainly comedic, but they had like horrific undertones. Anyway, unimportant. I've spoken about this in depth before. Point is, I had an idea for one, where it was a guy gets obsessed with Garfield to the point where he wants to prove that so the premise was Jim Davis is purposefully tainting the image of Garfield in order to be free of him. Like, Garfield is this entity that has ensnared its creator. Which is kind of true. That's true of like every mascot, but like in a non-malicious way. And I had no idea where I wanted to go with it, because it was like, as the short film went on, it was a conspiracy theorist, by the way, but part of the thing was that he was claiming that Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield, if you didn't know, is paying YouTubers to besmirch Garfield's name, such as Super Eyepatch Wolf, if memory serves. Yes, that's definitely it. Made a video entitled "What the Internet Did to Garfield," and in this video, it's an hour long, he reads 1,400 Garfield comics in order to get a pattern on the jokes. Now, I do have a problem with what he did. What he did was look at them randomly. And that was the main crux of... The character's name was Glenn Fields. Garfield, Glenn Fields. Any of this... I've used the prop, or the costume in a short film before, called Free for a Reason. That orange trench coat and fedora. He was like a 1940s style investigator, but it was orange. But it was set in like modern day, but he just dressed like that because, I don't know, he's an insane person. But I needed to prove him wrong, which means that Glenn had to prove him wrong. So he, like, did what he did, but the proper way. So I bought free collections of free books, volume 1, 2, and 3. Garfield at Large, Garfield Gains Weight, Garfield Bigger Than Life, Garfield Weighs In, Garfield Takes a Cake, Garfield Eats His Heart Out, Garfield Sits Around the House, Garfield Tips Scales, Garfield Loses Feet. And I also... I did what he did, but in chronological order, from start to bottom. This is the wrong. Hang on. Where's that journal? Can you hear my rummaging around my shelves? Yeah, this is the one, the Alice in Wonderland. It was a joke, because he's like, my proof is right here, and he points to a journal that's themed around Alice in Wonderland. A visual gag. Anyway. How many comics did I look at? Oh my god. Oh my... This is... I can never let anyone see this actual... I am so glad this is an audio-based show. If I showed this, I'd get committed. This is... 547. I looked at and cataloged 547 comics. I never got past the first collection of 3. I think I stopped at about Garfield Gains Weight. I did have a mark. Let's see. I remember that. Where was it? First book ends. Where did I write that? 200. End of book 1 at 216. Did I get to book 3, I wonder? Let's see here. This is categorized horribly, by the way. End of book 2. I did get to book 3. I think I finished book... No, I didn't finish book 3. I got close to finishing book 3. But I did not... I wrote down what the joke was. I didn't keep score of how many of what kind of joke there was. However... Super Eyepatch Wolf said that there was, like, a certain number of jokes, a certain number of types of jokes that appeared. That's wrong. There's more than he said. So he said there's, like, Garfield... The point is that he did a faulty job of gathering information, and I did a better one, but I didn't complete it. But it was too much, and I mean, I got the damn books. Why not? Maybe I will do it one day. Hell, I bought this Garfield His 9 Lives book. I also got another story about, like, finding the books themselves was a pain. Maybe I'll do an entire video on this on my own. Of just, like, this cut short film. Because it's got quite some behind-the-scenes stuff going on. Like, I cut it just because this is too insane. I was actually going insane cataloging just Garfield. I, again, am so glad that it is audio only, because I was looking through the penmanship in that journal, and it was deteriorating as it went on. It was, it wasn't good. Oh well, but I cut it almost a year ago. But I began researching it. I was scripting it long before this, but I actually started, like, researching to... And that, by the way, that, like, visual gag, that's for a joke. That didn't have anything to do with the overarching plot. That was like a not even a minute-long gag where he proved that Eyepatch Wolf did a poor job and he did a better job, and then you just move on to the next scene. I did all that for a scene I could have cut. So maybe, I don't know. All that work. How long did that take? How many hours did I spend just looking at... I mean, it's wasted, too, because I didn't catalog the type of joke. I gotta do that all over again. Over 500 comics. Some of them were funny. Truth be told, I used to be a big Garfield fan. Just kind of... I wouldn't say grew out of it, but I just stopped reading them. I always preferred Calvin and Hobbes. I don't know, it's intriguing. The format itself, I was proud of the idea. So it was, you were watching someone watching Glenn's videos. Because Glenn was, like, uploading these in, like, I would make another YouTube channel and upload all of them, and then record watching them, and then have that be one big video. So it's kind of like a weird online horror thing. Horror is stretching it, but, like, I don't know. I never planned out the ending. I'm pretty sure, like, there's also a second conspiracy theorist who was saying that, like, Glenn was insane, but he was also insane, and his name was, like, Jack Abels or something. I don't know. I don't remember. But, like, Glenn Field was Garfield, and then Jack was John Arbon, owner. And it devolved from Glenn trying to prove Garfield was being sabotaged to trying to, like, get one over on Jack and prove that Jack was insane and he was regularly sane. Just saying, whatever. But I didn't know where I want to go with that. But I did enjoy it. I did have a planned series where, like, after that, it's like they break into the workshop where they make the Garfield comics, and they meet Garfield, but he's like an entity, and it's not like a gore field that, like, Garfield's an eldritch thing. He was benevolent, like, towards Glenn because Glenn cared. Jack didn't, but I don't know. It was gonna be like this 3D animated thing. All in all, a little too much work for what I was able to do, but it's better to have ambition with no means than means and no ambition, I suppose. Because I can get the means. I can, like, work towards getting 3D models and whatnot. I can... Insane as it is, I can re-catalog all those comics. I still have, I mean, hey, you heard me rummage through my bookshelf. I still have all the books. I still have got the journal. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. I don't know. It's certainly an amusing story. Did I tell the... Here, we've got a couple minutes left. Why not? So before I bought the free sets of Free, I bought those on Amazon, by the way. But when we first moved to England, I was going to bookstores. My father and I were going to, like, used bookstores and asking, do you have any Garfield comics? And I was just going to find them like that way, just because. I don't know, why not? It's nice to have them on hand. And they kept saying, no, sorry, you can check this other place, though. And one guy was like, oh, there's this really old used bookstore down here. And I had him draw a map on, like, a receipt or something. And then we walked in, and it was, like, this guy's house. But it was, I'm trying to think of just a... So, it was this, like, hole-in-the-wall store of this guy in the corner as we walk in, and the walls are lined with books. And it's not like bookshelves, it's books stacked on top of one another that reaches to the ceiling. He has thousands of books just out. And then I go up and ask him, do you have any Garfield comics? And he leans back in his chair. He's in this little nook. Like, he's in a hole-in-a-wall in the hole-in-a-wall store. He's in this little, like, nook area, and he thinks... And after maybe... I wouldn't say it was longer than 15 seconds. He says, should have one upstairs. And in the corner adjacent to him, there's a staircase. And you go upstairs, and there's even more books. It's like an 8. It's formatted like an 8, where the holes are bookshelves. I don't know how else to describe it other than that, but it was like 2 rooms with, like, pillars in the middle. And the, like, sides of the pillars are bookshelves and whatnot. It was like it was surprisingly intricate, but there were even more books. And no Dewey Decimal System here. No, they were just randomly screwing about. So I spent like 20 minutes just combing the walls looking for this Garfield book. And I find it. And it's a book of novelty Garfield-themed postcards. And I was gonna have this as a joke in the cut film, where like Glenn is seeking like Garfield books, and he's like, I asked this guy, and he gave me a map to this one guy, and then I was gonna record. I flipped through this like the postcards. I deleted the video because like I stopped working on the thing, but I'm kicking myself for doing it now because it's a fun anecdote, I suppose, but it's thinking back that guy had like a memory like a steel trap. I mean, I guess it was a bit vague because he's like, it's not a like he probably wants a Garfield comic, thinking it's the guy referring to me. But like I know I got something Garfield relating up there, and it's like a book of novelty postcards, which is such an odd book. You have a bookstore. I wonder how many other books in there weren't really like books, but more just like collections of paper bound. Which, yes, that's a book, but like it's not a story. I don't know. I didn't like open them and look. I was looking for Garfield, but it's such a. I don't think. Where was that? What town was that in? I might go back there. Just. I don't know. I remember the smell so much. It was. Some fragrance, some kind of like cleaning supplies, and ink and paper. It was just this. It was such an odd but pleasant experience, just hunting through this maze. I enjoyed it. I don't regret doing it. I don't regret going completely insane, cataloging Garfield stories. I suppose I just wish it was better planned out, so I'd have something to show for it other than these amusing anecdotes and some fond memories. But, well, maybe one day I'll try again. And you know what would be really funny? If I try again and I still don't get anywhere, but I still have even crazier story. If this is just the cursed short film, I can never make it. Something stops me. But every time I try, I get a story out of it. At least that's something. Hell, I could have that be a plot beat. Like I've tried to prove that Jim Davis. This is in the words of like Glenn in the context of the thing. I've tried to prove this on several separate occasions, and some force is preventing me from doing so. If you couldn't tell, the Garfield short film was a comedy. Oh well. That's about all I have for now. It's nice to talk about that Garfield story, though. I think that's the first time I've ever talked about it ever since unofficially, like, getting rid of it. Just deciding now. I'm now just kind of thinking aloud, and that's what this is, but just on the topic of other short films I'm thinking of making. Oh well. This can be a show for another time, and I'm pretty tired. Anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Stay tuned to Gotham FM.